All right, I'm here at Gen Con with Russell LaParre,
Yo.
who just won X1, 8-1. We don't know his actual ranking. I think top 4, probably pretty safe.
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, tiebreaker being undefeated and the other ones being like decently up there.
Yeah.
At least top 6. Like, I'm hoping. Yeah.
Second through 4th, top 4. Got another serial Luffy, and you used your one you already got for the win today. So.
Yes. So previously, Columbus, I started at Luffy.
Yeah.
And then won this Luffy with it.
Yeah.
And then ran it back, and then this Luffy just got me another Luffy.
And so you're gonna have it back to back now, like so you're gonna flip this over. It's gonna have another.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna crack them both. Yeah.
So, but not most expensive card, but you're gonna see a very expensive deck with this too. And real quick before we start, we know that Zoro is very good and incomparable. What made you choose Luffy over Zoro?
I played Zoro during last week's during the online regionals.
Yeah.
Realized that I really couldn't make a skill gap between myself and my opponents of other Zoro players, especially ones that are of like upper echelon type of player already. And it made me want to play a 5 health red leader so I can abuse the cards that are on the restricted list. Yeah. And not have Slash.
Sure. Okay.
And so I mean that it all just came down to this. I do believe that this deck has a more like linear route of play and pretty much like 2 routes of play. And since I already had experience with it piloting it at Columbus, I just kind of ran with that mindset going in here. Like, I'll probably only have 2 routes of play, always pick the right one, and if you do, you'll see a lot of success with the deck, and that's pretty much how it's felt.
Gotcha.
And then, similar to like DBS terms, the extra energy you get per turn and playing it for free, it really make or breaks some matchups, especially in this meta, which I'll go over in a little bit.
Yeah, all right, well, let's go to the cards then.
Yeah, okay. So, starting out,
Larry Hill,
3 Izo. You can't play 4. And you'll see why later on the list. We don't have that many Whitebeard cards, so I believe he has 13 targets total. Yeah. 3's fine. You can't crank it up to 4 because it came to search itself. I love this card. It grabs the cards that are restricted to 1. And in my previous Luffy list, I wasn't running this, and I was like, oh, I should really just add this in, especially when I had like Curly and Buggies during that regional, and it just turned out bad.
Yeah.
To Gordon. Even though this combos really well with Marco, it combos really well with Nico Robin, and you can't search it, you do not need this card to have multiple copies in your hand, and you don't want to hit it out of life when you're forcing like a do you want to try and see if I can luck sack out of life late game scenario, which happens a lot against Whitebeard and against Katakuri. Yeah. And so with that in mind, 2's good. You don't have to Dawn to search it. I wouldn't play any less. I didn't play it to the board at all, I believe, this entire tournament. But in my testing games, it came up a lot, and that's more than enough for me.
Yeah.
2 choppers. They're treasure cups because I wanted to play them treasure cup. And these are anti-Katakuri. So sometimes Katakuri can steal odds, and then they can hit a character first out of life, and then 7-drop Big Mom you, and be like, whoa, I have this aggressive mindset. I'm going to be able to beat red by going 10-drop Big Mom, burn your last life, and then swing in with the 8 and so forth, and so from there. So Tony Chopper stops that and forces them to Thunderbolt, a useless 1 energy costed Chopper. So with that in mind, only played 2. I was thinking about playing more, but you'll see later on the list that we had added more spice. 2 felt really well, really good, and I hit them a lot throughout the day.
Good. Okay.
For Nami, not much to explain. I went 2-2 because I want to keep 2 of each art to be funny. Too many Straw Hats on this deck, not much to go over there. For Makino, you play this instead of 4 Otama because you need to boost your Namis and your Izos to become threats on board. You can also fake out people where you can boost your Makino onto your Chopper and swing Chopper 5 at something that they swung at you, thinking that you're going to block, and that happens out a lot.
Yeah, and you can do Makino for 1, and then leader effect to put the 1 down.
Yeah. So your 1-drops feeding the instant start a turn. I'm going to play at least 2 cards here. You just drop one of these into play, attach your leader ability, and then go from there.
Yeah.
2 Otamas. You don't want to play too many to the board. 2's perfectly fine. This makes up the 9th and 10th 2K counters. She came to the board once against a Katakuri player to force me to have a phenomenal Fire Fist against Charlotte Opera.
Yeah.
And when doing that, I then put like 6 or 7 Dawn on her in the future to force like a swing, and they can crack back at it with like a useless body. But yeah, just phenomenal card. 1 Sanji. Originally, it was a 2 Jozu, 2 Sanji split, and it was actually a 3 Sanji, 3 Jozu split, but I took them out to add in a 4-6 vanilla Frankie and a 4-6 vanilla Brook. With that in mind, I didn't want to go down to only 2 Jozu to lower my Izo counts because it was already so low already. 13's like a pretty ridiculous number. So I just needed a 2K counter. I like this over Usopp. I never played it to the board, but it's a good card. 3 Nico Robin. You don't need 4 because Strawbeard exists in this meta, and it's not that strong against Strawbeard. If they're a solid player and they see it coming, they know you're playing Luffy, and now they'll know the list and everything.
Yeah.
4's kind of overkill, 3's perfectly fine. 2 Rush Zoro. Most lists play 4. I played 2 5-drop Luffys instead of this. The 5-drop Luffy helps create lethal against a last health Brûlée, which is a pretty good tell if they go Katakuri check and then take their top blocker and put it at the bottom. You know, I was like, that's either a Brûlée or Sovereignty, and there's nothing else it could be. So 2 Luffys instead, and then 2 Zoros. I also expected a lot of Fire Fist in this meta, so if I ran into Ace or Zoro, the fact that Zoro's cross-train is going to get cracked at 5, and you don't want these 2 on the board together to give your opponents the best Fire Fist possible. You just don't want that to happen. So, 2's cool.
2's cool.
2's Brooks. Phenomenal today. Really, really good. If this stuck in finals against a Dofi player, I believe he probably instantly lost the game. Instead, he had 3,000 worlds and bot decked it.
Okay,
at 5 Dawn, and he's playing really well, making great decisions, and drawing really hot. So I wouldn't cut this. This used to be 1 Brook, and before that it was 2 blank 4/6 Frankies. And I cut down, like I said, the Sanji and the Jozu count in the future, you'll see, to add them in. So, yeah. 1 restricted Marco. It's a Whitebeard pirate. You're gonna find it. Card's phenomenal. Lets you take life, go down to 2, everything from there. 2 Frankies. Frankies can be swapped out with the 4/6 Luffy. There's literally no difference between them, but Frankie's a pretty cool character and he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
So we're playing him there. Anti-Strawbeard, anti-Fire Fist, 6 cross turn against Katakuri, so you can 2K counter out instead of losing another body, and puts tons of pressure on the board. If it's dead in your hand, it's a 1K counter, and that's all we want to see. So if you're visualizing like, oh, he can just swap these out for 2 Zoros, I wouldn't do this. These are phenomenal. I would only add in the 2K counters or another Fiery Doll in this place.
Yeah, 4/6s in general are doing really, really well.
Killing it right now, which is why I think Dofi won. The 4/6 Mori is carrying the
it does. It does.
It beat the crap out of me. So yeah. 3 Jozus, 2K counter, searchable by Izo. These are a higher count than Sanji because we don't have enough cards to support the Izo. I can see myself cutting the Sanji to play the Jozu, but there were a couple games when Nami did grab Sanji instead of anything else currently listed. Got 2 Rush Luffy. Displayed earlier, 5/6, 6 cross turns, phenomenal. Anti-law, if I saw any, even though this deck's pretty much all anti-law. Law has a terrible matchup in this list, but I wouldn't touch this. They felt great all day. They won me tons of games. 4 5-drop Marco, broken card. When paired with Gordon, you get a 3K pop. This deck does what no other deck can do on odds, which is high roll an insane turn where you go turn 1 Nami, Nami goes 5 your Nico Robin. You swing for 5 so you don't get jet pistoled or fire fisted, and then you play your Nico Robin. And then the following turn you pay 5 Marco, pop their buggy, attach 1 Dawn using leader Luffy ability, swing Nico Robin, pop their other character, leader swing face. And then now they're staring this annoying board down. And it's frustrating to convince yourself to swing a leader because you can't. You're going to swing at the Nico Robin. And when you do that, the multiple copies of this and then the extra copies of these are going to be your plays the next turn, and you're kind of just done with Nico for the rest of the game. So, this is pretty much the reason why I wanted to play this deck. 1 Whitebeard.
Because you can't run more.
Broken, can't run more. Good to go. Radical Beam.
Because you can't run more.
Can't run more. Broken guard. Great. 4 guard points. Don't need to explain more. Straw hats. 1 Fiery Doll. This is probably the final card decision I had to make throughout the day outside of the Frankie and the Brooks. Is I might drop a Frankie for another Fiery Doll. This card was broken today. I pulled Lethal out of nowhere. I swing 18 at my opponent because you go, Fiery Doll, leader Luffy ability, attach it to my leader, and then swing 18 at their face. And that was enough to close out against a Whitebeard player, and he was counting his hand down, and he was like, even if this final ace in my hand was a guard point, because he already burned a radical in the game, he's like, even if this was a guard point, I would lose literally at lethal at 18. And he was just, blown away by it. And it's also a great card out of life. It's a Red Hawk. And so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna play another copy of this by tomorrow. Speaking of Red Hawk, saved me against a back-to-back 10-drop Big Mom game. I swung, put pressure, put him down to 0 life, passed, left 3 open, and I was able to go Red Hawk, guard point, plus a counter just to get out of the 12K counter. And then when the Katakuri swung me for 5, I pitched a Frankie. So that entire board state scenario was just me going this is why we did this for this list. This is why this went here and this, and they're not Zoros. They have to be 1K counters and just kind of get to survive a lot more in those RNG situations. 3 Fire Fist.
Good card.
Great card. Searchable by Izo. fuels your 5-drop Marco. If you hit Gordon plus Fire Fist, you're in a great position. If you hit Brook plus Fire Fist against pretty much every deck in the game, you're clearing their board. Out of life, it pops a card for 5, which is like Borsalinos and stuff. It's great. It's a phenomenal card. And I wouldn't run 4 because sometimes you see 2 and 2's too many. And honestly, if you see 2 per game, you're pretty much big chilling. Like,
Yeah. Because you can always discard itself off itself,
Final 2 cards, pistols. I was going to change 1 pistol into a Fiery Doll. That was on my mind as well. But I wanted to keep it as is. Both of them won me games. All throughout the day. I played against 4 Whitebeards. All of them are Strawbeards. The Jet Pistol won me the final round against the Whitebeard player at round 8. He ended on a 4-drop Marco. I had Newgate on board, plus this, plus Fiery Doll, and I was like, hey, just pistol your Marco, and he's like, yeah, you got it, man. And it's just great to be able to reliably just have the one of instead of relying on Fire Fist.
And again, like that's only cost 3 for Luffy on his effect too, which is nice. So so real quick, I'm gonna just ask probably some questions of what cards you're not running. I'd say Buggy's not being played in this list. Curly the Dawn's not being played in this list, and Mass Deuce maybe if you add a third one. So maybe common cards we've been seeing in Luffy previously. What makes you not add those?
So I had them in my list. Playing in finals at my locals against a content creator named the Luffy TCG. And originally I had Curlies and I had Buggies. And what I was finding is that my 5, 6, 7, and 8 Dawn turns weren't as productive as I wanted them to be. I would fight between playing Curly for my hand or playing Buggy early, and they would overpower like the Namis, and they wouldn't be as Dawn efficient as you could with Zoro. And so I was thinking in my mind, I was like, we'll just play a Zoro deck. It's basically just Luffy leader, good to go. Like that's broken. And the more I played reps of the game, I was like, you're just kind of wasting board space. And I'd rather them be something else, and I'd rather them be Izo to go grab these great restricted
good cards. Good.
So that's pretty much how I came down to the decision. They weren't as strong as these big bodies, and as Dofi's performance today is a testament. The big bodies and being sticky to the board is now overwhelming Zoro, and that's why Zoro didn't perform as well in this tournament. Is because late game, your ones and twos won't matter as much unless you string along Magras and you're kind of like high rolling your games into that. So.
And I think a lot of people just try to put a Zoro deck underneath Luffy, and it's good, but it's not the
it's
max.
Good because it's red.
It's red, exactly. But it's not. I like this list. I like that it plays to what Luffy's doing and wants to be doing. And I think takes a better advantage of what his effect does and everything else. So, any shoutouts? I know first, you have a Patreon.
I just started it 2 weeks ago. I wrote an article that got slammed all over Facebook. And it was how to beat law. And I was nothing but a law player for a very long time, and then I realized I should stop playing this deck. And so I'm teaching everyone how to beat that deck, basically with every other color. And that was the first article I wrote. And then now I've been dropping every single deck list I have brewed up, and I've been dropping my 50 all week. And everyone knew, if you're a patron, that I was playing this Luffy no matter what in this list. And so, I'm going to keep doing that. And if you support me on Patreon, thank you so much. I love you. If you're just coming over from Pokemon because you like me and like someone's PC and everything, I super appreciate you a lot. This Luffy and all these wins mean a lot to me, but I know it's just a lot of fun. It's other Pokemon players seeing me have success in One Piece. Instead of just Pokemon.
Exactly.
They're enjoying it a lot too. So that's the first shout out. Second shout out to Luffy. Shout out to all the content creators, including yourself, Eggman. Like you guys are killing it, and providing lists and the frequency at which you do it and the speed at which you do it. I believe the community takes it for granted, and
One day, Gen Con. I'm hoping like Tuesday. And if Monday's like, man, did Eggman die? Like, what happened?
They're like, why aren't they up yet? I'm like, he's doing a lot. You guys don't understand. This is a lot of effort. But community was great today. Every single one of my opponents were cool. Lots of whoa, why are you up here, you Luffy?
Exactly.
Kind of scenarios. But deck's broken. It's a good time. I'm playing the same list tomorrow. But I'm going to change that Frankie into a Fiery Doll, or I'm going to do the Red Hawk into a Fiery Doll. But we'll see how it goes.
49 out of the 50 for sure.
Easily. Nothing else can change.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I know you're on low sleep, so again, appreciate
it's been rough.
Everything else. I hope you get some sleep tonight. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Follow him on Patreon, and we'll catch you all next time.